Millions of registered Sudanese voters began casting their ballots in southern Sudan's independence referendum. Thousands of those registered voters are right here in Nebraska and the surrounding region. There was a huge turnout at one of the voting stations set up at 45th and Fort. Southern Sudan has endured decades of internal strife and civil war with the country's north. The vote will decide whether to draw a border between the north, where mostly Arab and Muslim people live, and the south, populated mostly by blacks who are Christian. Those casting ballots today stress the importance of independence.
I'm really very excited for this vote because I'm determining my self-determination for Southern Sudan. We are tired. Since my grandparents, since 1950s, they've been suffering. Running from country to country, from Sudan to Uganda, from Uganda to Sudan, and now we run from Sudan to America. That's why we are here for. We don't care about this snow. We are happy. We are excited. We don't feel the cold. We're really happy. We want our freedom. We are tired.
Omaha is one of only 8 cities in the United States designated as official polling places for the Sudan election. Of the 8,800 Sudanese registered to vote here in the United States, 3,200 of them are registered to vote in Omaha.
The signing of the final part of the comprehensive peace agreement in 2005, the clock has been counting down to this historic vote at the referendum, where the people of Southern Sudan make a decision on whether to separate and become an independent secular Southern Sudan state or stay united with the North, governed from Khartoum. The moment is finally here. This is Freedom Square in Rumbek, within Lakes State, at the heart of Southern Sudan. The governor of Lakes State, Chol Tong Mayai, was the first man to cast his vote here at Freedom Square, and he says he's happy at the turnout and the keeping of time.
Today is a special day for the people of South Sudan at large, and for the people of Lake State in particular. It's a day which has been long awaited by the people of South Sudan through the struggle for the last 50 years. Today I've casted my vote for freedom.
The chairman of the Lakes State branch of the Southern Sudan Referendum Commission says that everything is in place to ensure that the 7 days of voting at the referendum go according to plan.
Well, the preparedness, I know that we are all prepared, but whether they have opened all today is what we'll confirm later at the later time in the day. So I'm only opening this one, and we'll now go to check all the other centers whether they have opened in time.
This state, called Lakes, is one of the 10 states within Southern Sudan. It has a population of just about 700,000 people, and 43% of these 300,000 people are registered to vote. There are 39 other polling centers within Lakes State, but the turnout at the other centers outside the town center is not expected to be as good as this one at Freedom Square because of the vastness of the region and the scattered population. Now, Tieno KTN at Freedom Square, Rumbek, Lakes State in Southern Sudan.
As dawn broke, the queues already stretched into the distance. It was only the first day of Southern Sudan's week-long independence referendum, but voters were eager to make their voices heard.
I have been here since 2 a.m. in the morning, and the reason why I'm here, this is the day that we have been thinking about to end our suffering.
For the southern leader, Salva Kiir, it was a day to remember.
This is the historic moment the people of Southern Sudan have been waiting for.
If the oil-rich Christian South succeeds from the Muslim North, it could create the world's 193rd UN member state.
This is democracy at its most basic, where people are choosing their future and how and by whom they want to be governed.
The referendum formed an integral part of the peace deal in 2005, which ended a 22-year civil war that saw over 2 million people killed. Almost 4 million voters registered in time, and a 60% turnout is needed for the result to stand. Actor and Sudan campaigner George Clooney was optimistic that the South was ready for succession.
What's beautiful about this is no one thought 100 days ago that this would happen. And that's a testament to a lot of players, but it's a real testament to this government. And that's the best sign that I think we've seen that they can sustain a government in the future.
In the capital, Khartoum, where some 100,000 Southerners had registered to vote, polling stations were quiet. Many had already returned home to a region they hope will soon become fully independent.
It's really important. We've been fighting for many years. It's really important because I'm going to have my own country.
Voting is due to end on January the 15th. But with millions still needing to cast their ballots, the lines will be there for some days yet.
They could hardly sleep, arriving as early as 3 a.m. after over 2 decades of hoping and waiting. The sun had finally risen on their dreams, the day breaking to find hundreds of southern Sudanese registered to vote at the railway's polling center, already on the queues, waiting for 8 a.m. when the doors would be opened to usher them into a new dawn. Their excitement was palpable, but when they found that the day had grown long, yet few had managed to get to the polling booths, they turned to pushing and shoving their way into the voting hall, breaking a window pane in the process and almost taking the door off its hinges. The situation salvaged by the calming presence of the Sudanese ambassador to Kenya, urging peace and order, the door thereafter manned by police officers. The queues at the polling center moved, albeit sluggishly, for the rest of the afternoon, and as the lines grew longer, voters opted to turn up the next day, simply entertaining themselves for the rest of the afternoon. This while Kakuma, the home of thousands of refugees, came alive as refugees from southern Sudan came out in their numbers to cast their votes at the 2 polling stations in the area. Their presence here the result of war, yet these voters today the envy of refugees from other countries. The morning's trickle turning into a steady flow of voters by afternoon as a section of Kakuma's over 5,500 registered voters made their way to the centers, each confident that this vote would be the first step towards going home again. The expectations were mirrored among Eldoret's community of southern Sudanese nationals who thronged Rupa mills, some expressing in their attire their history and hopes for their country. The voters in Nakuru braved long queues and even longer delays at Menengai Social Hall, one of 3 such stations in the town, each expressing a wish to vote on the first day. There are 2,445 South Sudanese registered to vote in Nakuru, a significant portion of which is expected to participate in the historic 7-day referendum on whether or not to secede from the north. In each polling center, little disturbance was registered, save for the jostling in the queues. The exercise expected to continue for 6 more days before counting begins. This, what many southern Sudanese nationals view as the countdown to a fresh dawn. Wilkis Anyabwa, KTN, Weekend Prime.
The Sudan People's Liberation Army claims these men belong to a rebel group led by Gatkuoth Guy. They were ambushed in southern Sudan's Unity State. Officials say 32 rebels were captured, 6 killed. 15 have been brought to southern Sudan's capital, Juba.
As you can see, all of them are southern Sudanese, being organized in the north, armed in the north, sent to the south to come and fight a baseless war so that they undermine the referendum and outcome is not for the people of southern Sudan.
Officials in the south regularly accuse the north of arming militias to destabilize the region, an allegation Khartoum denies. Those captured say more are still out there.
Polling station. We were told to attack polling stations during the referendum. We were given weapons, AK rifles, RPGs, and ordered to fight. There were more than 200 of us in the group.
This latest incident is a reminder of the deep internal divisions in the south, divisions that could lead to conflict.
These prisoners will be taken away by members of the SPLA and interrogated to get as much information as they can out of them. This latest clash so close to the referendum shows how insecure southern Sudan still is.
It was hoped a ceasefire agreement signed between another rebel leader, George Ator, and the SPLA earlier in the week would improve security. Officials try to allay fears of possible unrest during and after the referendum.
From our side as the government of Southern Sudan, we promise you an atmosphere of calm and guaranteed security as you exercise your democratic right to determine your destiny according to your free will.
Logistically, officials say everything is ready for the referendum. Around 4 million people have registered to vote, but there are still huge challenges. Ensuring a peaceful environment during voting is perhaps the most pressing. Despite some uncertainty on how peaceful the referendum will be, some who want to separate from the north are already celebrating. Harun Mutasa, Al Jazeera, Juba, Southern Sudan.